So Realme's Realme UI is finally here and it's all pretty exciting. But for all intents and purposes, it's basically a slight tweak over ColorOS 7, which is based on Android 10. Now, I know that the one question on everyone's minds is Realme UI similar to stock Android? Well, that's what we're going to find out in our full review of the Realme UI and compare it against the outgoing ColorOS 6 and the improvements that have been made. Hi, I'm Ershad from Mr. Phone, and let's get this very in-depth review started. But before we move on, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it to get notified whenever Mr. Phone puts out an awesome new tech video. So there are a lot of design changes in the UI that will make your Realme device feel swanky new. The first thing that I noticed is the Google search bar below the dock. You can switch this off, but yes, it is the first step to keeping in line with the design ideology of stock Android. The default icons are rounded, but I could change it easily from the home screen settings. I really like the material style one. Now, one thing I noticed is that there is an option for something called custom, but it doesn't give you the option to use an icon pack of your choice from the Play Store. That's completely weird. All you can do is change the shape and the size of the icons. This is an open appeal to all the engineers at Realme. Please let me pick an icon pack of my choice in the next update, pretty please. Also, the iconography follows a new golden ratio of design, which I know that a lot of designers out there watching this will definitely understand. What this means is that you get a new clean and fluid and symmetric UI, and couple that with the clean fonts as well. I am completely impressed. For example, take a look at the search bar inside the app drawer. On ColorOS 6, for some odd reason, the designers thought it was a good idea to highlight the text and make it larger. It looked a little odd, to put it subtly. Now that's changed in ColorOS 7 and therefore Realme UI as well. It looks much more streamlined now. Even first-party apps like Clock, Calendar, File Manager, etc. have been visually overhauled. Let's take the example of the Calculator app. The numbers are not elongated and the kerning is excellent too. The new font is doing wonders. But it is not just the design changes. There are some fundamental functional changes that are totally kick-ass. For instance, you can now use the calculator in windowed mode or slide down from the handle above the numpad to directly enter the scientific calculator in vertical mode. In ColorOS 6, you had to actually use the calculator in landscape mode. There are similar changes peppered across other first-party apps and it's done very well indeed. For example, I would also like to highlight the fact that in the compass, you now get a level mode as well. Now, apart from the icons, you also get a whole new set of wallpapers that do look good, but what I'm interested in are these really cool live wallpapers out there. All the live wallpapers, trust me, look damn cool if you ask me. Realme has also added a new feature similar to One UI's edge lighting on flagship phones like the Note 10 Plus. So you can have different colors for incoming calls and notifications. The amber orange one looks like McLaren edition of the OnePlus 7T Pro. Plus, you have new animations for the fingerprint scanner, face unlock and charging as well. All of it is done very well. There's one similarity with MIUI 11 here though. You get a very similar looking screen-off display, which is their variant of an always-on display. It looks great on AMOLED screens. For example, you can choose from a preset of digital or analog clocks, or you can have a mantra of your choice. Obviously, the default one says "Dare to Leap," which is Realme's tagline. And also the dark mode, yes, the dark mode that you guys have all been waiting for has actually moved out of the Realme labs into the main system UI now. You have the option to force dark mode on third-party apps as well, although it is a beta feature because it doesn't look coherent across apps. For example, take a look at Facebook. I actually switched it off and I'm guessing most of you will too because it looks really odd. But the option is there for what it is worth, and of course dark mode exists as well. Also, the multitasking carousel or the recents menu has also gone ahead and gotten a visual upgrade. Now these are smaller cards that take up as much as around 60% of the space, unlike the 80% space that ColorOS 6 took. So I think that it looks very nice. The big X button for shutting down an app has also been replaced by a clear button now. Of course, you can continue to show the remaining RAM in the recents page as well. Honestly, this is a very minimalistic look that looks really nice. However, the one design change that I appreciate a lot is the new notifications shade. Yes, the quick settings toggles look nice now, but the most important improvement is that when you slide down the shade, it doesn't take up the entire screen. Only a couple of rows of toggles shows up and you have to swipe down once again to actually see all the quick toggles, plus the notifications that of course pop up. I like the opaque look and the fact that the toggles are pulled towards the bottom of the screen. This is very similar to what Samsung does with One UI, where it makes one-handed usage easier on bigger phones. By the way, the incoming notifications are stacked up in individual tiles or cards inside the shade, unlike stock Android 10, where it sort of is one entire piece of block of text. I mentioned design upgrades to a lot of first-party apps, but trust me, the one thing that you guys are gonna love is the new camera layout, and I think that it's done well. The slider for modes has changed to look visually appealing and follows the basics of UX design to make it easier to use it at first use itself. For example, most common modes such as night mode and 64MP mode are available in the sliding options. Also, the ultra-wide angle camera is now included in the zoom slider. It's not a separate button in the top panel like it was with ColorOS 6. Overall, these design changes are minimalistic, colorful, peppy, and functional too in many ways. And of course, they follow the principles of design and they're very strong at it. That's what I like about the design upgrade on the Realme UI. Although we did talk a lot about the design and the visual upgrades to Realme UI, there are a lot of functional improvements under the board as well, which are definitely interesting to look at. The first thing I want to immediately highlight is that now you can finally delete folders. I still can't wrap my head around how Oppo decided to miss out on such a basic feature in its previous iterations of ColorOS. Now, while I am a fan of system-wide search function when you swipe down, since I've been using iOS for a long time, there are folks who will appreciate the new option to change that setting. Yes, you can now finally swipe down to pull down the notifications shade as well. Double tap to switch off the screen is also a handy feature for sure. Remember the smart sidebar? Well, it is now a vertical layout that looks more attractive. I might just use it more often on Realme phones now. Although I'm sure that one functional update that most of you gamers out there are definitely gonna love is the upgrade to the screen recording feature. You can now record the screen sounds and your own face using the selfie camera. It uses a circular layout to capture your reactions. That layout is fine, but I would have liked it if I could customize the size and the shape just like the icons. For example, I like a square layout. I recorded some footage and it was extremely high quality. All Realme needs to do is tie this to Twitch or YouTube gaming and they'd have hit gold with that update. That said, when you are playing an FPS game, your thumb is bound to obstruct the front camera's field of view. Realme needs to find a way to sidestep that. Talking about games, the GameSpace app has a fresh coat of paint, and Game Boost continues to improve touch latency and boosts frames too. So yeah, that's great. Now apart from that, you also get new ringtones which are apparently inspired by human emotions, for what it's worth. I mean, I don't know what that means, but this is what you can hear. One of the coolest features from ColorOS 7 that has made it to Realme UI as well is the 3-finger swipe down for screenshots. Now there are advancements made where you can still do a 3-finger swipe for screenshot, but you can also touch and hold 3 fingers to select a certain portion of the screen. Moreover, after a regular 3-finger screenshot, you can swipe up on the generated thumbnail to take a long screenshot and swipe down to share it. It works beautifully. Navigation gestures have been improved to include Android 10 style of switching of apps, and the swipe down from the bottom portion of the screen lets you enter one-handed mode. All of this works fluidly. Now let's get down to the recurring features from ColorOS 6 that definitely needs to be highlighted once again. Realme Share now works across Vivo's FunTouch, MIUI, and Oppo thanks to the alliance that has formed between them. So this is almost as good as AirDrop on Apple devices, so that's great. Focus mode within Digital Wellbeing is a stripped down version of OnePlus's Zen mode. Riding mode has a cool interface for calls. And finally, OSIE is a setting where it improves and heightens the colors on a few video sharing apps like TikTok and Likey and a couple more. It works, but I don't actually see the actual use case for it. Moving on to privacy, inside the privacy settings page on Realme UI, you have something called personal information protection, or picture-in-picture, PIP. Oh my god, just a bad joke. Don't take that seriously. Anyway, with this, you can actually prevent your data from leaking to apps that you don't want your data leaked to. For example, you can deny them access to important information like contacts or call logs or messages. When turned on for a specific app, this feature will replace your call history with an empty log, your contacts list with an empty one, and so on and so forth. Honestly, this is an excellent move by Realme, one that I'm very happy about. Remember how Realme had recently put out a blog post talking about how you can stop your ads directly from the operating system? Well, that option is actually missing on the version 1 of Realme UI that's running on Realme XT right here. And I didn't encounter any ads as such within the system during my usage, which means that it is currently inactive, but things could change. So we'll keep a track of that in the comment section below. By the way, the default browser has a lot of problems, but the one thing that completely annoyed me was the fact that on some occasions when I opened the app, there would be a full page, ad that pops up in front. That happened on ColorOS as well. That's happening on Realme as well, which is completely annoying. So this is very important, the update cycle. If you are a Realme user, this is definitely important. Currently, the Realme 3 Pro and the Realme XT have already received the update. If you haven't yet, you should soon. And in February, the Realme X and the Realme 5 Pro are supposed to get it. And Realme X2 Pro users will have to wait till March. As for the rest of the update cycle, you can take a look at this comprehensive chart. So performance, that's definitely very important to see if the new UI has improved performance. Now Realme claims that it makes use of something called the quantum animation engine to actually make things faster. From what I can tell, and it's perceptible when you compare it directly with ColorOS 6, is that animations definitely feel slightly faster, more fluid and more responsive as well. On my Realme XT, apps minimized way faster than the Realme X2, which by the way has a more powerful processor. Even when you are scrolling through apps in the recents page, it is definitely faster now. Honestly, I can't wait to experience this speed bump in animations on the 90Hz panel on the Realme X2 Pro. One of the things I wanted to test was the Antutu score, after the Realme UI update, primarily because one of our users on Telegram actually highlighted it. Talking about Telegram, have you guys actually subscribed to our Telegram channel? Just go and do that. There's interesting conversations happening in that community out there. So I did it. And lo and behold, it was actually higher than before. That completely took me by surprise. Looks like there are definitely performance improvements too, which is very nice to see. Alright, so we are at the end of our review of the Realme UI, and to be entirely honest, to answer the question, is it like stock Android? No, it's not exactly like stock Android. It's somewhat similar to stock Android, and it is not necessarily a bad thing because it adds a lot of visual improvements and functional improvements over stock Android that I quite enjoyed. Obviously, it might feel a little flashy and colorful for somebody who prefers the somber tones, but I really like what Realme has done with this update. It feels a lot more youthful, if you ask me. However, that's not saying that there could be more room for improvement. Yes, of course, there's always room for improvement, but with this update, Realme has actually hit it out of the park. I'm sure that most users after the Realme UI update are going to be pretty happy after using it on their phones. Isn't that we all asked for? We all wanted a premium UI experience on mid-range phones. Well, both Realme and of course Xiaomi with MIUI 11 have actually given you that, and I'm really glad. By the way, talking about MIUI 11, do you guys want a comparison? Do let me know in the comment section below. Also, you know what? I haven't had enough time to check for bugs in the system or battery life improvements. So you know what we'll do is we'll actually pin a comment below with, which we'll keep editing and adding more details as we keep using Realme UI. And of course, if you guys are using it, you can mention in that same comment thread. So that's it from me. I'm Ershad from Mr. Phone. I hope you guys liked our detailed review of Realme UI. Do let us know in the comment section below. Until next time, goodbye and Godspeed, my friends.